Robert Edward Lee, January 19, 1807 to October 12, 1870, was a prominent American military officer and Confederate general who is best remembered for commanding the Confederate Army of Northern Virginia during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865. Known for his tactical brilliance and complex legacy, Lee remains one of the most studied figures of American history. Lee was born in Stratford Hall, Westmoreland County, Virginia, into a distinguished family. His father, Henry "Lighthorse Harry" Lee, was a Revolutionary War hero and a former governor of Virginia. Despite his family's esteemed heritage, financial difficulties plagued the Lees during Robert's youth, particularly after his father abandoned the family. In 1825, Lee entered the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he excelled academically, graduating second in his class in 1829 without receiving a single demerit. This achievement highlighted his discipline and intelligence, qualities that defined his military career. Lee began his military service as a brevet second lieutenant in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. He spent the early years of his career on various engineering projects, including fortifying defenses along the eastern seaboard. During the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848, Lee distinguished himself under General Winfield Scott, earning recognition for his reconnaissance skills and leadership during pivotal battles such as Cerro Gordo and Chapultepec. His performance earned him several brevet promotions, solidifying his reputation as a talented officer. In the 1850s, Lee's career shifted towards domestic roles, including a brief tenure as the superintendent of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, 1852 to 1855. He later served on the frontier, commanding cavalry units during conflicts with Native Americans in Texas. As tensions between North and South escalated in the late 1850s, Lee found himself increasingly conflicted. Though personally opposed to slavery and secession, he was deeply loyal to Virginia. When the Civil War erupted in April 1861, Lee declined President Lincoln's offer to command the Union Army, choosing instead to align with his home state after Virginia seceded. Initially serving as a military advisor to Confederate President Jefferson Davis, Lee quickly rose to prominence. In June 1862, he assumed command of the Army of Northern Virginia, a position he would hold for the remainder of the war. Lee's leadership was marked by both audacity and ingenuity. He won significant victories at battles such as the Second Battle of Bull Run, 1862, Fredericksburg, 1862, and Chancellorsville, 1863, where his bold strategies overcame larger Union forces. However, his aggressive tactics also led to high casualties. The pivotal moment of Lee's career came during the Battle of Gettysburg, July 1863, a failed invasion of the North that resulted in heavy Confederate losses and marked a turning point in the war. Despite this setback, Lee continued to resist Union advances for nearly 2 more years, earning the enduring respect of his troops. In April 1865, with his forces depleted and surrounded, Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses South Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, effectively ending the Civil War. After the war, Lee was not imprisoned or executed but instead lived a quiet life, urging reconciliation between North and South. He became president of Washington College, now Washington and Lee University, in Lexington, Virginia, where he focused on education and healing the divided nation. Lee's post-war stance emphasized unity, though he remained a symbol of the Confederate cause. He was never fully pardoned, and his citizenship was only restored posthumously in 1975. Robert E. Lee's legacy is deeply contested. On one hand, he is admired for his military acumen, leadership, and personal integrity. On the other, his association with the Confederate cause and its defense of slavery has drawn significant criticism. Monuments to Lee, long celebrated in the South, have become focal points of national debates about race, memory, and history. Despite this, Lee remains a central figure in the study of the Civil War and American history. Lee died on October 12, 1870, from the effects of a stroke. He was buried in Lexington, Virginia, where his tomb remains a place of historical interest.